Hello, I'm Frank Castle, Chair of the Sarasota County Centennial Steering Committee. We want to invite you to join us as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the founding of our county. Something important happened here 100 years ago that shaped the future of this area and likely accounts for why most of us are living here today. That is what we celebrate. In 1921, the people living in the Sarasota district, which was the lower third of Manatee County, wanted to control their own destiny. They had perceived grievances against the Manatee County commissioners over taxes, which they thought were too high, over government services, which they considered inadequate, particularly with regard to education and law enforcement, and especially roads, which were few in number and badly maintained. The imperative to repair existing roads and build new ones to support the economic growth of the Sarasota district became the key issue driving the move for independence from Manatee County. With the coming of the automobile revolution, access to good roads to attract tourists and allow long-haul trailers to carry agricultural goods to market was a central concern for many Florida communities. Since at least 1912, Sarasotans had sought help from the Manatee County authorities for road improvements, with only modest success. Beginning in 1920, public-spirited leaders representing business, government, and social groups from all parts of the Sarasota district banded together to organize the county separation movement. The Palmer family, A.B. Edwards, Joseph H. Lord, Peter Buchan of Englewood, Augustus Wilson of Myakka, Vic Saunders of Osprey, and many others became part of a political effort to gain legislative support for independence. Of primary concern to the Sarasotans was the location of the Tamiami Trail. Originally, the road was planned to run from Tampa to Miami, passing through Bradentown, as Bradenton was then known, through Sarasota, Fort Myers, Naples, and then across the Everglades. But the Bradentown businessmen saw Sarasota as a competitor for tourists and development capital. They wanted a change in the route of the Tamiami Trail so that it bypassed their Sarasota neighbors. If the plan succeeded, the economic future of the Sarasota district would have been blighted. To fight this threat, Sarasota had to become a county in its own right and confront Manatee County as an equal. Newly enfranchised women were part of this effort and used their votes and organizations to support the movement for independence. Among these were Rose Phillips Wilson, who was the owner, publisher, and chief reporter for the Sarasota Times, and Alice Genther, the influential president of the Sarasota Women's Club. Bertha Honore Palmer, the international celebrity who owned vast amounts of land in the Sarasota district, must also be mentioned. She had been a principal leader in the fight for good roads. Before her death in 1918, she had become so frustrated with the Manatee County government that she had instructed her attorneys to research how to make Sarasota a separate county. Nothing came of this initiative, but after she died, her sons and her brother assumed control of her economic empire and took up the cause of independence. But if white women were beginning to assert their influence on political and economic matters, African Americans were an entirely different matter. Yet, despite segregation, disenfranchisement, and lack of political power, black citizens, both free and convicts, had built much of the infrastructure, including the roads that created modern Sarasota County. They also established the vibrant vibrant communities in Overtown, Newtown, and Laurel. The battle for independence took almost a year. It began on June 16, 1920, at the Palmer Trust offices in downtown Sarasota. The organizers of the county separation movement had called a mass meeting of local citizens to discuss a matter of importance. Mayor Arthur Britton Edwards presided. Dr. Joseph Halton, an Englishman who ran a local hospital, delivered a firebrand speech that urged action to make Sarasota a county. He laid out the case against the Manatee County government. We in the South District, he said, can expect to be milked until we are dry. He concluded that only separation could secure the economic future of the Sarasota area. And among those who attended that meeting, there was unanimous support for what Halton had said. Soon committees were being formed, influential community leaders recruited, and a drumbeat of pro-separation articles that filled the columns of Rose Wilson's newspaper. By late summer, special reports appeared from committees raising funds, proposing boundaries for the new Sarasota County, and evaluating the costs of creating a separate government. In April of 1921, with the leadership of the Sarasota Board of Trade, a bill was drafted for submission to the Florida legislature. Augustus Wilson of Myakka, a former state senator, was dispatched to Tallahassee as a lobbyist, and he was told to introduce the bill. Everything seemed to be going well, but the businessmen of Bradentown, the real power behind the county commissioners, had got wind of what the Sarasotans were up to. They sent carloads of people to the state capitol to argue against the bill. And close behind them and driving on the same potholed roads, carloads of Sarasotans raced to support their endangered legislation. But the Manatee forces proved strong enough to block the passage of the Sarasota bill. Worse, the legislative session was nearly ended. It would then be a 2-year wait for another shot at independence. Faced with such unpalatable choices, the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce chose to seek a negotiated settlement. At a meeting held in Bradentown with the Bradentown leaders, a deal was struck. The only major issue for the Bradentown representatives was their demand for a change in the boundaries. The Northerners wanted 144 square miles in the northeast corner of the proposed new county to remain with them. It has never been entirely clear why this largely undeveloped and flood-prone area was of such interest to the Bradentown businessmen. In any case, the Sarasotans felt they had no choice but to agree. With that, the state legislature passed the revised Sarasota bill, and Governor Kerry Hardee signed it on May 12th. By 9 p.m. that night, the city of Sarasota exploded in celebration. But the story was not quite over. The new law explicitly stated that there would be an election on June 15th. The people of the Sarasota district would have to vote on accepting creation of a new county. Although there was some opposition, the question of county separation passed with 80% of the vote. The governor then appointed all the officers of the county pending the next election. On July 1st, Sarasota officially became the 62nd county in Florida with its own board of county commissioners, its own school system, its own sheriff and courts, and its own tax collector. Almost immediately, there were problems, but by the end of the 1920s, Sarasota County had fulfilled all the reasons behind its creation. Schools improved, law enforcement achieved greater effectiveness, and a vast system of roads, including the Tamiami Trail, had been built. The 1920s was a great age of development in Sarasota County's history. The most important symbol of Sarasota County's success was the completion of its magnificent $1 million courthouse in early 1927. You can learn more about the whole amazing story of Sarasota County and its origins in my book, Creating Sarasota County. The book is available at your local branch of the Sarasota County Library System. Since it took the entire community to create our county in 1921, it makes sense to reach out to engage all citizens in the planned celebration for 1921. Organizations can become Centennial partners or sponsors. Partners pledge to support the Centennial and organize at least one Centennial-themed event. Sponsors make financial donations to fund the work of the Centennial. Many businesses, as well as social, historical, and preservation groups, have already signed up as partners. Individuals can become Centennial ambassadors, representing the Centennial organization in organizing neighborhood Centennial clubs and speaking publicly about events. We hope you'll check out our website for the Centennial calendar of events, for information on how to sign up, and to read our newsletters, and above all, to learn more about the history of Sarasota County.